Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an impromptu video this evening. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing well in all senses, really. You know, health-wise and everything else, happiness and all the rest of it. I'm doing fine, thank you very much. I thought I'd go for a little walk and a talk. Actually, unfortunately, the weather's closing in a little bit. I thought they'd cleared the clouds in time for this weekend's coronation, but they haven't, clearly, unless it's the last bits that they're blowing away from our coast. Anyway, yes, I just wanted to, first of all, say a quick thank you to a friend of mine, Mike, who I went and visited yesterday, and we took a look at Portland and the quarry area down there. I posted a few pictures on Facebook and also on my Instagram account, because there's a lot of fascinating stuff going on there on that coastline. You know, without thinking too deep about stuff, just by simply observing, quite literally. You know, all sorts of different rock formations, different types of rock, different looking rock, rock that looks different to what it feels, all that sort of stuff. You know, rock that's not so jagged, which would indicate, well, it's not pretty, you know, that would have been lying around for a long time, not quarried in the last 100 years, let's say, and all that sort of thing. So that was fascinating. I'm glad I got to see that, and yeah, I wouldn't mind going there again, actually. We got caught out a little bit with the good old weather, but that's the most predictable thing about this country, is the unpredictability of its weather. But yeah, it was good, and it was also nice to see Kaz as well. So if you're watching this video, great to see you yesterday, and look forward to seeing you on the vigil on the 27th. That will be pretty cool. So a couple of other things I was going to talk about was, first of all, the last couple of videos I put up, one of them was to do basically with a couple of explanations, nice short and sweet explanations as to the laws of thermodynamics. There are two professors on there on the outset of the video, and it is Nathan Oakley at the end of it as well, who explains all three of them very clearly. No room for ambiguity at all there. So anybody who hears that and hears those explanations and gives it a good think, can only really come to one conclusion. So that's why I put it up there. That was more for the educational purposes, and the other reason really is to just keep reminding people of the simplicity of it. You know, it's quite interesting because I had a very long conversation yesterday with a friend, and you know, she was saying to me as well that, you know, they come out with these uber complicated phrases and words and goodness knows what else, making you think that, you know, only the small percentage of smart people on earth have any right to even address these topics, never mind come up with an answer for them and all the rest of it, right? And of course that's all nonsense, all of it. You know, the answers lie right there in front of you, in their simplicity, in their obviousness. That's the thing. That's the illusion. That's what everybody's falling for, you know. The most basic of things, you cannot have gas pressure anywhere without it being contained. Whether it's gradients that allow you to leave a system even though it's closed, so they tell us, or not. It's nonsense. You can't have pressure without containment. That's it. Done. You know, that's just one nail in the coffin of officialdom that kids never get to hear about at school until they get to higher education, by which time they've already bought the indoctrination because they know there's a career in it for them, right? And that's the problem. And the same goes for the last 3 years. You know, the topics were moved on within the agenda so quickly that people have forgotten what the whole point was in the first place and what the whole problem was in the first place. The fact that there wasn't one, right? But again, that's another story, going off on a tangent. So, I'm just seeing where I'm going here. And I'm going to Sea Road. And I'm going to have a little walk down towards the beach. Because it's not cold, it's just a bit windy. I hope it's not too windy over the microphone as well. The other video I posted was in solidarity to a friend called Mike Wilkerson, who I mentioned in my previous video. Because Mike Wilkerson was a victim, not that he feels like a victim, of basically online abuse. In the most criminal form by Paul Cook. And so anybody who has an opportunity to expose that and use a platform if they have one, especially if these people are friends of yours, which Mike most certainly is a friend of mine, then I shall always stand by their side, no doubt about it, because this sort of behaviour has to be you know, dealt with. It really does, because what chance have the younger kids got if this is what so-called grown-ups are acting like? So on a serious note, you know, it's just, this is not about clicks, this is not about popularity, this is not about virtue signalling, this is about behaviours, and this is what we've been talking about now for a long time. You know, it doesn't matter what side of an argument anybody's on, if you can't even get into a conversation with them because the behaviours are so off key, then you've already got a problem. And that's where we're at in society in general, right? And that's why, whether you're a so-called truther or not, and you create content or not, the same rules apply to you as they do to everybody else. So whether your name is Paul Cook or anything for that matter, so what? Big bloody deal. And we're better off without the likes of you, mate, if you're watching this, which I know you are, by the way. So anyway, so that's why I put that video up there, because this is really about a bigger picture thing. It is not just about somebody acting out within the community, but it sort of reflects an ever increasing noticeability of bad behaviour, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just seeing things. I mean, there are some people who claim to see the horizon bending, but there you go. What do I know? So anyway, moving on from that, we may as well talk about a topic that is looming large, and that is the coronation. And just one thing I'd like to say about that, because to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily anti-coronation or anything, and the reason I'll say that is because it's quite simple really. If I'm going to be expending my energy to talk against the coronation, then they're winning, because they are just a tool of the powers that are above them. You know, the coronation is just the coronation is part of the crown that's attached to the bigger picture. You know, that's what applies to our country. The Germans have something different, the French have something different, the Americans have something different, right? They all have their big thing that they look to, their populations, their individual peoples, if you like, right? In their individual corners of earth. Ours is the monarchy. But I don't get all heated up about it all, because I understand the bigger picture, which is they're nothing. They don't mean anything. Yes, symbolically speaking, there will be a lot of significance to what's going on. Absolutely. There'll be a ritualistic undertone to it. Absolutely. And the numbers will mean something. Absolutely they will. And I pay tribute to all those who are putting up with this nonsense and don't want to. And I include myself in all of that. But I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm going to let it bounce off me like new balls at Wimbledon. Because what's the point? You know, the people we really need to be addressing and getting to are the ones we're never ever going to get to. That's the thing. The ones that are being presented to us in front of the camera, they're totally irrelevant, as spectacular as they all may be, and as boldly written they may be in all our history books. It doesn't mean to say we need to validate all of that, because we don't have to. You know? I mean, I have an ocean there in front of me. It doesn't mean to say I go for a dip every day. To be fair, I've only been in there about twice actually since I've lived here. But you know, so that's just my kind of way of dealing with it, if you like. And if that applies to other people, cool. That's not me pointing fingers at anybody, by the way, but that's just really me telling myself more than anything else. Because trust me, I've had the most rigorous of military upbringings, not in terms of I was marched to my bed or marched to dinner. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is, you were in that environment 24/7, whether you liked it or not. And that was my first 19 years of my life on Earth. So I know how it is to be on the other side of that fence and be in the middle of it all. Parades and uniforms and all the rest of it. Right? I get it. I totally get it. So if anybody's got a reason to be totally anti and all that, then trust me, it will be me. But it's not them. They're small fry. They really are small fry. So that's the way I shall quantify that for my own brain. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to say on that, really. I'm going to be working tomorrow anyway at the football club because there's football going on. So there you go. While we're on this, quickly before I round up, I would also like to just mention the vigil again that is coming up on the 27th of May. Saturday the 27th of May. It's one of the things that Mike and I also discussed when we went down to Portland yesterday. You know, the feedback I've got so far from everybody has been very, very positive. Lots of people will be there that day. So it's just a question of getting a couple of bits and bobs sorted for the day. And then we're done, really. And then just keep a lookout for flyers and any updates. I will be sure to bring them to you. You know, on any new segments I might bring, or video clips or whatever, or if I feel like having another whinge at something that's on the TV or something like that. And yes, of course, and while I'm talking about the upcoming dates, don't forget there will be the next Flat Earth meetup as well. Talking about what we're seeing there, the non-existence of the R value. Anyway, so that will be it from me for now. I'm sure I wanted to say one or two other things, but of course I've forgotten, which is normal. Anybody that knows me can attest to that. Just going over someone's head there with the camera. Yeah, and I will be back after the weekend has elapsed, and probably with a couple of new bits and bobs here or there. No doubt maybe a cynical take on one or two things that I might come across over the weekend, I'm sure. The ground is very fertile for that, isn't it? But, you know, what I said earlier does stand. That's my take on it. But everyone's entitled to whatever take they want. On that note, I bid you all farewell. See you all soon. Some of you sooner. Take it easy, and ta-ta for now.